If you want to accuse me, face me. And, of course, I'll sue you, as I successfully did in a number of cases involving this accusation. As far as I know, this is the only accusation, Virginia Gupre, and she has admitted publicly that she, after all these years, now recognizes that she may have misidentified me. She may have confused me with someone else. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of the matter.
Yes, I promised you we're going to talk about Epstein. So, the names of dozens of people connected to the late sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein, were made public with the release of court documents overnight. Well, who are they? Public figures, including Prince Andrew and former US President Bill Clinton, are among the associates, friends, and alleged victims named in the 900 pages unsealed on the order of a judge in New York. So, earlier, I spoke to one of the men named in the Epstein files. The celebrity lawyer Alan Dershowitz was mentioned 137 times. I began by asking him for his reaction to the release of the documents.
Well, they haven't released all the documents. We're filing an additional legal claim, having them release all the documents. For example, the woman who initially accused me of having sex with her, that accusation is in the released documents. But the fact that she subsequently admitted that she may have confused me with someone else, she may have misidentified me, that it may be a case of mistaken identification, that's not in there. So what's missing is context, and accusations without responses and without the full information are half-truths, and half-truths are lies. And so we're going to continue to press for the release of everything, including information that may show that some of the accusations, not only against me but against others, may be non-credible. In my case, I don't need that because she has admitted that she may have mistaken me for someone else. But other people need to have the exculpatory information out there as well.
Why do you think this keeps on happening? Because it happened with Virginia Giuffre as well. She misidentified you, and now Jane Doe 3. Why on earth would that keep happening?
Because I have not had any improper relationship touching anything with any woman from the day I met Jeffrey Epstein until the day he died. I've had only sexual contact with my wife. And so any accusation against me is false.
There was some detail, wasn't there? The accusations were that you forced her to have sex not only in Florida, but in private planes, New York, New Mexico, US Virgin Islands. Well, if they match up, then maybe that is the case. But, okay, well, let's wait and see if more data is released.
Virginia Gupre. That's Virginia Gupre. She made all of those charges and then admitted that she may have mistaken me for someone else. And she dropped the charges. So let me tell you, I have never had sex with anybody on airplanes or in any of the places that this unnamed person describes. And, you know, anonymous false accusations? What is this, Stalinist Russia? No. If you want to accuse me, face me. And, of course, I'll sue you, as I successfully did in a number of cases involving this accusation. As far as I know, this is the only accusation, Virginia Gupre, and she has admitted publicly that she, after all these years, now recognizes that she may have misidentified me. She may have confused me with someone else. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of the matter.
All right, but what about the other filings, Mr. Dershowitz? Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, you're mentioned 137 times. Now, what do you put that down to then?
Lawyers trying to obtain money. But I don't know what these accusations are from Jane 1 and Jane 2. I don't know who they are. But none of them is true. I never did anything wrong, which is why I've asked to have all these revealed. Today we're filing more legal claims demanding that all the papers be released. We want to know who Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, and Jane Doe 3 is, so we can prove conclusively that there's no truth to any of those charges. So I want to make sure every document is released. If you have nothing to hide, you want documents released. It's only if you have something to hide that you argue for the documents to continue to be withheld. I want everything released because I have nothing to hide. I did nothing wrong. And and Jane, whoever the one, Virginia Gupre, whatever her pseudonym is, she has acknowledged that she may have confuse me with someone else. And so that's the end of the matter. She dropped her case against me.
I see you've been saying that you had an innocent relationship with a man I didn't know, i.e. Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody suspected him. But this is a guy who you did know, isn't it? Because, I mean, he lent you his Florida home. You and your family stayed there. Your granddaughter stayed there. If you didn't know the guy, well, why was he lending you his family home? Clearly you knew him.
Of course I knew him. Of course I knew him.
I knew him well.
I knew him. I knew him as an academic colleague, and then I knew him as a client. I knew him in those two capacities, and the day that the information about his background came out, I terminated my relationship with him. All of what you've described occurred before anyone knew that he was doing anything improper. And so, I went to his academic conferences along with the president of Harvard, winners of Nobel Prizes, and others. Many people went to these conferences. They were very good conferences. So I did absolutely nothing wrong. The minute I learned of any of the accusations against him, I terminated any kind of personal or academic relationship, but I served as his lawyer in the same way that John Adams served as the lawyer for the people who were accused of the Boston Massacre, or, other lawyers defend people who are accused. That's what I did. I'm proud of that role, and I did nothing wrong in any private or personal capacity.
Well, lawyers do, and we all know this, represent a range of people who may be considered villains in the public imagination, but they all deserve representation, don't they? In the league tables of the villains that you've represented, including O.J. Simpson, where would you put Jeffrey Epstein?
I can't classify people, but I've also represented wonderful people. I helped represent Bill Clinton. I represented Senator Ted Kennedy. For better or worse, I represented Donald Trump. My career has encompassed the best and the worst. And I defended Nazis. I've defended communists. I've defended terrorists. That's the job of a criminal defense attorney, and I don't rank my clients. But let me tell you one thing. The people who push for the revelation of these documents are right to do so, but where are they in condemning Hamas for raping, mutilating, sexually assaulting so many Jewish women?
Why would you turn that kind of... Professor, why would you make that kind of turn? That diminishes you, surely. But you know what we're talking about here. Why would you turn the corner in that way?
Because it's hypocrisy. Because I want a list produced of every group that wanted these accountability of Epstein, but who have remained silent about the rapes by Hamas. You can't say.
But Professor, did you condemn the rapes in Eastern Congo, for example? Did you condemn rapes being used as a weapon of war in Tigray in northern Ethiopia? You didn't. They didn't come across your register.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I condemn rapes all over the world. This is the major headline in the world. And not only have some groups not condemned the rapes of Hamas, they have approved them. The National Lawyers Guild, Norman Finkelstein, 33 groups at Harvard have approved the actions of Hamas. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of people who focus appropriately on sexual misconduct in one place, but refuse to condemn it and sometimes condone it when it's done by people by Hamas.
I have to say, I've listened to Norman Finkelstein and others. I've never heard them say they approve of rape as a weapon of war and mutilation. I've never heard them say that.
Let me tell you what Norman Finkelstein said. He said, on the day this occurred, he said, it warms every part of my heart to see. And then he described what was going on. Yes.
I've seen him challenged on that and then walk it back a day or two later when he found out what had happened.
Yeah, but that's too late and too little. He has refused to condemn categorically the rapes that occurred, and that's true of the Me Too movement. It's true of many other movements, and I'm going to continue to point out the hypocrisy, and I'm going to continue to hold people responsible for a single standard, not a double standard. You can't say Me Too except if you're a Jew.
Alan Dershowitz, isn't the reason why you are turning this corner is that this is a distraction technique and you blame Me Too for putting you in this trouble?
No, first of all, I'm not in any trouble, number one. Number two, I'm the one who asked to have these materials released. I want them released. I have never refused to answer a single question. I've never tried to distract. I am happy to respond to anything regarding the accusation because it's totally false. I have proved it. And if all the material comes out that has been suppressed, it will prove it conclusively. So don't tell me I'm trying to change the subject.
Well, that's how it appears to me, Professor Dershowitz, because I see you've already written a piece in the New York Post saying the defenestration of Claudine Gay, the former president of Harvard, is part of what needs to happen in order to return academic freedom and standards to Harvard University. You know, of course, that you are far more likely to get into Harvard if you're a white legacy student than any other category of student. There are already people getting into... It's true.
I'm opposed to that. I have been opposed to legacies. I've been opposed to athletic admissions. I've been opposed to everything but meritocracy. So don't try to stick me with hypocrisy.
I'm not trying to stick you with hypocrisy, Professor. I'm testing your argument. I'm testing your argument.
Well, keep testing. Keep testing.
Okay. What about this then? Okay.
What have I said inconsistent?
You have said that the push towards diversity, equity, and inclusion is actually harming students of Jewish background and Asian American background. They're still far more likely to get in than students of other ethnic backgrounds, particularly African Americans, who you say have been the chief beneficiaries of this.
That's a lie. The number of Jewish admissions at Harvard have gone down from slightly below 20% to below what it was.
To around 10% currently.
At Harvard, to about 9%, to what it was when Harvard imposed quotas. I'm interested in meritocracy. I'm not interested in counting how many people of each ethnicity get in. I want people to be admitted totally on the basis of meritocracy. I think that diversity, equity, and inclusion has been a disaster for universities. That view is shared by millions of Americans, including millions of Harvard and Yale graduates, and including thousands of people on faculties around the country. If you disagree with it, let's have a debate about it.
But of course, there are lots of people disagree with it because they feel it's a zero-sum game, but there are lots of people who agree with it too. Oh, well, you say that. Well, it's important to debate it, and people will debate it on forums like this, on radio, television, and in academia, and of course in elections. And you go to your country goes to the polls in November this year. What do you think's at stake?
Well, I think at stake is the future of America and the future of the free world. That's why I'm going to vote enthusiastically for Joe Biden and vote against Donald Trump. I defended Donald Trump against an unconstitutional impeachment, but I'm going to vote against him. I don't think he is the best possible president, just as I thought President Gay, who I like personally, was not the right president at the right time in the right place. So I'm going to continue to stick to my principles. You're going to continue to challenge them, and we'll continue to have interesting, feisty debates.
I think we will. Final thought, Professor Dershowitz. I've followed you in your career for many decades. I've always found you an enthralling and engaging person to watch and to discuss things with. When you look at your reputation today, how satisfied are you with it?
With people who matter to me, I'm 100% satisfied. With people who take things out of context or who don't understand the role of a lawyer, that's their problem, not mine. So I'm completely satisfied with my reputation among people who I care about.
The celebrity lawyer Alan Dershowitz, who was mentioned 137 times in the Epstein files, but who says he has nothing to hide. He wants all the information out.